Okay, take two. Sorry about that, folks. We have two internet connections in the house here. One's for backup purposes. It's a little bit slower, and that's what I was on, and was getting all sorts of error messages there. So apologies about that. Hopefully we are good to go. So I'm just going to give it about another 30 seconds, and then we'll get into the presentation. I'm just going to check on the chat, see what's happening with everyone there. All right. Hey, Lona. I hope everyone's okay there in Florida. I hear it's a pretty scary close, a big hurricane, so stay safe, please. All right. Thanks, Kim. Thanks for understanding there. All right. Pam, I've got to learn some tips from you because I feel this is a whole new presentation arena using new software and new equipment, so it's one of those great fun challenges. All right, let me just check a few other things here to make sure we're good. Okay, look, I think we've got a pretty good group in attendance now. So, hey everyone, again, let's get stuck in. As usual, it's a live Q&A, so you're welcome to ask questions. I'll switch between the presentation and the comments, and hopefully try and address everyone's questions there. I'm not going to be putting people's full names, if you ask questions in the Facebook group, because I know this is a little bit more public. So it'll be a first name sort of basis to protect the innocent, of course. So let's dive in. So with that, let me switch to the presentation. All right, so hopefully we're good here. Now, the agenda is pretty simple. I'm going to go through some questions from the Facebook group and in the chat window here. Then I'm going to talk about the ROI Calculator, which is a new tool that we released last week. And then I'm going to talk about a big announcement. So hopefully you can stay around for that. And just as a reminder, if you find these videos useful, please give it a thumbs up. I really appreciate that. And subscribe to the channel as well, so that you can get all the latest updates and announcements, or new videos, I should say. I'm still practicing my little pitches, right? So yeah, that's it. All right. Let's see. Okay, so we're good. All right, let's keep rolling here. So obviously our new channel's here. So like I said, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell if you want the alerts to come through whenever we publish a new video. There's a new one coming out, all things going well, tomorrow, where I'll talk about the ROI calculator in a little bit more detail. Really, it's just to help people get grounded on that one. So I'll talk about that a little bit more in a second too. So I'm going to dive into the questions. So if you've got a question, start typing them into the comments here, and I'll do my best to get to you as quickly as I can. All right, so NJ asked a really good question, and this is something that a lot of people ask all the time. How do you get your search rank up higher than other ranking? And this is really complicated, and a lot of people have trouble with this because there's so many facets to it, so many components. There's the easy stuff. So these are things that you can easily influence, but they typically have a low impact on ranking. So the first one I like to call out for everyone is make sure that your listing includes all those words that someone is searching for. So if you've got in your mind your focus keyword or your superstar keywords are something like silver ring with opal gemstone or something like that, you've got to make sure that all those words are somewhere in your title or in your tags. I mean, you could technically have it in your categories and attributes as well, but I like to make sure that they're in the title and the tags. They've got to be there somewhere. So that's the thing that you can really most easily influence. So if you find that superstar keyword that you want to attract buyers into your listing with, make sure all those words in that phrase are somewhere in your listings, title and tags. That's really a 101 type thing. If you don't do that, your listing will not be shown when someone searches for that term. So please keep that in mind. Again, in terms of what you can look for there, use the Keyword Explorer or the keyword tool to try and find some long tail keyword ideas as well, because that's all part of your focus keyword selection. Let's see. The trickier stuff that you can do, NJ, this is really knowing what those keywords are that you should be ranking for. And as a seller, sometimes we think like a seller and not like a buyer. So, you can do things like go into the search box on Etsy.com, start typing in and looking at those suggestions that come in that little drop-down menu in the search box. That's a neat little way that gives you an idea of what people are searching for. If you pop into the Keyword Explorer or the Keyword Tool and type those terms in there, you'll get an idea of how popular those phrases are on Etsy. And a good term may not necessarily be popular, but it'll have words in there that look like someone knows they're ready to buy. So that's what you're really looking for there. Another thing to do is get better photos in there, because these have an indirect impact on ranking, or a fairly direct impact on ranking, I should say. Because if you've got good photos, that'll attract people in, Etsy start to see that engagement, and assuming they end up converting, then that's going to help you. So getting better photos in there is great. Try and get your photos, especially your main photo, as good as everyone else that's on that page. So if you figured out your hero phrase or your superstar keywords, and you were to type that in, have a look at everything that's on the first page and go, does my main picture look as good as these? Because that's going to help you. All these things, like I said, these are photos and good keywords. They tend to give Etsy an idea, photos, clicks, favorites, they tend to give Etsy an idea that people like to engage with this product and they're interested in it. So it really helps. Try and stand out there a little bit better. If you've got a cell phone and you're taking photos with that, try and stop doing that. See if you can get a cheap SLR camera, or a better camera phone. See if you can get a light box. They're pretty damn good at eliminating shadows and making stuff start to look really good. Obviously, if you can afford higher end equipment, then you probably are already taking great photos. But the photo quality will help. It's something you can influence. A little trickier, like I said. Lastly, the hard stuff, and this is stuff that's a lot harder for us to influence as sellers, but can have a higher impact. And it's really around getting better conversion rates. Like I said, good pictures are going to help you. A nice, rich, compelling description, that can also help you. Things like that. Whatever can help with that conversion rate, especially if it comes from a search. So if you get good conversion rates from Facebook, there's no search there. So that's not going to help with your rankings. But if someone goes in and they search for silver ring with opal gemstone, they search, they click on your listing, they favorite it, they buy it, or maybe they buy it later, Etsy make a note of that and they start to connect that search term with your listing. And that is what's going to help you. You get enough of those, then your rankings are going to naturally start to appear well. Your listings are going to rank a lot higher based on Etsy's algorithms, because they look at that and go, we noticed that this person has sold listings before with these keywords. We're going to show that listing more often, or similar listings more often. So that's kind of what they do. And again, Etsy's how they work, they're very vague about that. So you have to guess and speculate a little bit. But the thing I like to also encourage people to do a lot of is see what you can do to get more positive reviews. And again, you've got to make sure you stick to Etsy's rules there, but if you can, maybe over communicate a little bit, don't sort of like send something out and just hope that they never respond to you. Send something out, let them know when you get notification that it arrives, check to make sure that it's okay with them, things like that. That starts to create that one-to-one relationship, and most people like that, and it usually diffuses any potential problem situations. And if they really like it, it's going to improve the chances of getting that positive review. And that positive review is reinforcement to Etsy that not only did someone search for those keywords, see your listing and buy it, it also lets Etsy know that you actually delighted that buyer. So they're going to think even more about promoting or raising your ranking for that listing for those keywords or similar keywords in the future. So these are really harder things to do. Obviously, you've got to get sales to get there. They're not the only factors, but they do help. So these are things I hope that help you, NJ, the easy stuff, the trickier stuff, and the harder stuff there. Good luck there. All right, let's move on to the next one here. So Martin asks a question here: what is better on Etsy, making one item only and giving it that sort of scarcity, or making it look rare, or showing that there are plenty? And I think there's a very interesting line of thinking here, and obviously fear of missing out sticks in mind here, because people will want to buy something if they feel like there's time pressure there. If they don't get it now, they're never going to get it. So there's definitely some logic there. Definitely some logic to that argument, though keep in mind that if you only have one item in your inventory and that sells out and you forget to restock, what happens is Etsy can no longer measure the engagement for that listing. And if you leave that long enough, then guess what? All that goodness that you've gotten from that sale is going to disappear. So you want to make sure that if you do this, like just have one available, that you're regularly topping that up as soon as it sells. But to sort of wrap up here, I've not seen anything official from Etsy on this tactic. So if anyone has, please leave a comment in the chat window below. But I've not seen anything official from Etsy on this tactic. So, we've got to keep in mind that this is sort of stuff that's based on anecdotal evidence here. So you may have people going, yeah, I do it all the time and it works great. Other people are going, I tried it, it sucks, never works. So what I'm seeing is it's going to vary from seller to seller and from listing to listing. So in summary, I think it's worth a small test to see whether that works for you. So try it out in a few listings and let me know how it goes. I would certainly love to hear from anyone that's had success with this tactic, because we're about sharing best practices and what you've learned as well. So thanks for the great question there, Martin. All right, I'm just going to switch to the chat window briefly here, see what's going on here. All right, we're back. Let's see. Thanks, Lona. Worth the wait. That's very nice. Let's see. All right, I think we're pretty good with the chat window. So again, don't be afraid to put questions in there and ask away. I'm going to move on to the next slide now. So Terry asks here, can you please explain why an item is marked as spotted on why an item in spotted on Etsy is marked as something like position 3, rank 23, and really she wants to know what the difference between position and rank is. So to explain that to people, position refers to the position where your listing is found on the page that you're looking at. So keep this in mind. Etsy show 48 organic listings per page. So if you had a position of 1 to 8, that means your listing is likely to be in the first 2 rows on that search results page, either on page 1, 2, 3, and that's as far as we track. We track the first 100. Rank is your listing's overall rank, so that's basically from 1 to 100, because we only check the first 100 listings in the Spotted on Etsy feature there. So if you were on, if you had a rank of 1 to 48, then you're on page 1. If you have a rank of 49 to 96, that means you're on page 2. And if you have a rank of 97 to 100, that means your listing was seen on page 3. So Terry, I hope that helps you with that question there. And if anyone else has got questions about the Spotted on Etsy feature, feel free again to get them into the chat window here, or use the feedback button on the eRank site and we can help you explain that a little bit more. All right, so we've got a question that's come in from Elena. Can you give a little sneak peek at that big new project update that you're working on and that I mentioned a few times? Yes, it's coming very, very shortly. So thanks for asking there. Very shortly. So next one, Lona. Which is preferred in a tag? And she's asking here, is one word like one tag like copper jewelry women, or 2 words copper jewelry and then for women better? What's better here? How do you decide here? So yeah, such a teaser. It's exciting. So to Lona's question, firstly, I want to begin by saying the word for is considered a stop word, and that's nerd speak for it's a word that Etsy will ignore. For, the, a, on, in, at, they're all stop words. So generally speaking, when Etsy sees that in a tag, all they'll interpret that is too many is women. So if you can see my cursor here, I've got in here for women. That'll be interpreted by Etsy as women, like this. So with that in mind, effectively what you're looking at is a one-word tag. So what I typically recommend, and this is what Etsy recommend as well, is you take those words and put it into one tag. So copper jewelry women, I think, is perfectly fine. It's a really good tag to have in there. It tells you what the item is and who the recipient is. The other benefit is, and this is what Etsy tell us all about as well, now that you don't have that other tag being used, you can put other words in there and attract more people using different phrases and keywords. So that's the beauty I like a lot about combining tags. So Lona, I hope that helps with your question there. All right. Next one. Now this is a great one because I had to really think about this one. Michelle asked if I had a bunch of listings at a time, and she looks like she's been adding 20 to 40 a week, will it impact my overall ranking score? Will the new listings dilute my overall ranking since I have no viewing history? Now, I've seen a lot of speculation about this one. And I also remembered seeing something that Etsy had told us some time back. And I found it, it took me a little searching, but basically Etsy have said that listing frequency is one of the factors that that influences shop performance. So it's a little vague, right? But I interpret that as basically saying don't leave your shop dormant for long periods of time. So if you've got the ability to add listings each day or each week, do it. Spread it out. And here's the logic I'm looking at. And you know, I've worked with shopping algorithms in the past. What you're looking for as a software engineer, is you're looking for signs of potential trouble. So you don't want your shop to look like it's a potentially troublesome shop or a pain in the butt for Etsy. So the logic I've got here is that if I was to walk into a shop and there's dust and cobwebs everywhere, I'd be going, wow, if this is their presentation mode, what's it like if I've got a problem and I have to come back because something broke or something like that. So avoid, you know, you don't want your shop to be looking like it's covered in cobwebs and dust. That's kind of the loose analogy I'm going to use here. So keep your shop regularly updated. Make it look like you care and you're regularly maintaining your listings and your shop appearance. I think this is how and what Etsy are telling us here. And if you need to read more about that, this is actually a great article that Etsy published a few years ago. It's in the seller handbook. It's called What to Do If You Notice a Dip in Sales. This is something that I think everyone should read. It's a great article in there. And Debbie, if you can you post a link to that in there as well? Hopefully it'll come through and people can read that. So Michelle, I don't know if you're watching, but I hope that helps answer your question there. And if anyone else has actually had some experience with this, I'd love to hear your thoughts as well. So again, get them into the comments there and let me know what's happening. Okay. Let's see. Lona, are we still waiting? Just check my screen is black. Okay, hopefully it's working. Gosh, may have to switch back to Facebook if it's like this. Let's see. All right, I'll keep moving on here. So, the ROI calculator. So I'm very close to that big teaser now, Elena, so I hope you can hang around for that. So the ROI calculator, that is a new tool that we just added to eRank last week. And we did this in a little bit of a hurry because I felt that it was important that people can understand the metrics that really matter when you're using Etsy ads or any sort of ad platform actually. And so, you know, I'll upload that demo video later on into YouTube so you can see what I'm talking about here, but I just wanted to share 2 screenshots here. Basically, what you do with the ROI calculator is you type in how much you spent, how many ad views or impressions you got for that money. You type in how many ad clicks you got, how many orders you got from that, and how much revenue you got from there. And what we will do is we'll calculate those metrics for you. So you'll get back things like the cost per click, the average cost per click that you're paying. So in the example here, if your numbers look like this, then you're probably paying $1.36. Probably not terrific, but this is an example. So you'll need to plug in those from your marketing dashboard. The return on investment. Now this is an interesting number, and I wanted to let people know that this I like to watch very closely. Basically what this means is for every dollar you spend in advertising, how much revenue do you make? And this example here, it says 362%. Now, if I went into a bank and they said, yeah, you can put your savings in and get 362%, I'd be thrilled. But when it comes to Etsy, you've got to look at other things like what your costs are. Because you know what, your profit is a pretty smallish slice of the pie, I guess. So return on investment is good, and I definitely like to keep an eye on that, but I like to see it around about 1,000%, which usually means for every dollar I spend in advertising, I get $10 back. Typically, that should cover most of your costs that are out there. The cost per order, that tells me basically how much I had to spend to make one sale. So in this example, if it cost me over $11 to make one sale, I need to make sure that my profit is at least $11, right? Ideally, you want it to be possibly $20, because then you take 11 away from 20, you've still got $9 that you can put into the bank at the end of the day. So you've got to make sure that that cost per order is reasonable and it doesn't eat into all your profit. The next metric, which I like to look at when I'm fine-tuning campaigns, is click-through rate. So if I see a click-through rate of 0.16%, that means that roughly 16 people out of 1,000 click on those ads. It's not terrific, but I think it's okay. I would use this, and this is in the good old days when you could see all the individual stats. I would use a number like this to say, well, if my shop average is 0.16, I'd be looking at my individual listings and go, what is performing worse than 0.16, and start to remove some of those listings because they're probably really dragging your shop down. And conversion rate is the last one, and that basically means for every click that you get, what percentage of those convert into a sale. So you want to try and keep that at a pretty healthy percentage. I can't tell you what's really good or bad. That really depends on your shop and what you're selling. So if you've got some early data on conversion rates, I'd love to hear what's been going on there for you and how that's been performing. And again, you know, like everything else with Etsy ads and managing ads, you really need to wait at least a week to get enough data in there to start forming good opinions about what's going on. Because you'll know that search volumes change from day to day. They go up and down and up and down. Sales go up and down, up and down. So you need to look at it from a week or a month perspective to see how it's going there. So that's the ROI calculator. If anyone's got any questions about that, feel free to get them into the window. No, I think we're pretty good. All right, so what do we got next? A big announcement. Elena, are you ready for this? I hope you're still on. It's really cool. No one? Not a single bite? All right, I'm going to dive into this because I'm really excited about this, and I'm sort of, I think I need a glass of water actually. All right, let's get into the big announcement now. So, here we go. Basically, what we're doing at eRank is we're now including Google Shopping search volume into the Keyword Explorer and the Keyword Tool. So this now means not only do you get an idea of how often something's being searched for on Etsy and on Google, you also get an idea of how often things are being searched for on Google Shopping. So this is huge, right? Because, you know, we've got all this new awareness about Google Shopping thanks to Etsy ads. So now you've got volume in there. So let me talk a little bit more about that, and then I'll get into some questions if you've got any there. So first of all, why should you care, right? What's the big deal here? So first of all, people search for very different things on Etsy compared to what they search for on Google Shopping. So Etsy's all about handmade, vintage, gift giving, personalization, things like that. So this is great to know what people are looking for there versus there. Okay, so I'm just reading some of the comments here. You guys are awesome. I'm glad you like it. So you can get in there now. It's on the site live. So if you want to, feel free to poke into eRank right now. If you're a pro member, sorry, it's a pro feature because it costs so much, right? Get into eRank, pop into the Keyword Explorer or Keyword Tool and start typing some things in. And I'll talk about what you're seeing there as I go through this. But it's really interesting to see how different people use Etsy compared to Google Shopping. And I'm going to give you a tease about the update to the Trend Buzz report that's going to come out very shortly. But here's what I've noticed in our testing. So on the left here, this is what the pro members would see. So if you're a free member, you're getting a bit of free gas here. You're seeing what the top 10 searches on Etsy were last month. You can see Fire Emblem 3 Houses, which blew my mind. I had no idea what that was until just a few days ago. We've got enamel pin, which seems to be one of those super popular terms. Tarot deck, Halloween. You can see very specific sort of Etsy sort of queries in there. Gifts is a little more general, but have a look on the right-hand side here. Amazon, eBay, Walmart, top 3 terms are all other marketplaces, right? So you can see immediately that people are using Google Shopping almost like they're trying to navigate to certain places. They've got very different expectations in mind. And you'll need to drill into your keywords to sort of get a sense of how popular they are, because the words are going to be very different. Buyers' interest levels are going to be very different when they're on Google Shopping compared to Etsy. So keep that in mind. It's kind of mind-blowing when you think about the differences. Going down a little bit further, you can see things like shoes and laptop. I don't think laptops are very popular sale items on Etsy at all. I've not checked. Maybe I'm wrong here. Maybe a nice laptop sticker or something like that. But keep that in mind, that the intent for someone searching for laptop is very different on Etsy compared to Google Shopping. Amazon Prime. I don't know. I can't explain crazy, right? I wouldn't be searching for that. I'd be searching for Google for that sort of stuff. But that's how it is, right? Craigslist and Amazon. It actually gets much more useful as you get further down. The one thing I did want to point out was something along here, which is the search volume. Google, and I'm going to do a little bit more analysis on this, but it looks like there are more searches happening on Google Shopping than on Etsy. So don't quote me on that just yet. I need to do a little bit more homework there, but that's the first impression that I've got here. So that means that there is potential growth, but only if you can find those keywords that really work for your listing. And I'm going to give you a demo of that in just a second here. Okay, so let's go on. So why should people care? Point number 2, some keywords are rarely searched for on Google Shopping. So if you started logging into eRank and testing this out, you'll notice that there are some blanks in there. That's because Etsy has some strengths and Google Shopping has some strengths. Just like I showed you in the previous slide, electronics is a strength of Google Shopping. Handmade stuff, definitely a strength of Etsy. So keep that in mind. Some things are rarely searched for on Google Shopping. On the flip side, obviously, some things are searched for much more often on Google Shopping. The other beauty here is that you can get a sense of what's more popular on Google Shopping. So that's the flip side I was just talking about. You're going to have to dig a little deeper in there to find out what those are. I'm just starting to explore this as well. So if you go in there and you spot something that you go, whew, this is interesting, didn't know that before, let me know. Leave a comment. I'd love to learn and hear more about the interesting discoveries that you find out. Is there an oh my God moment when you go, I never knew that was so popular on Google Shopping before? So let's, love to hear your feedback there. Lastly, and probably my favorite thing is discovering new keywords. So I'll show you that in a second there. What we're doing is we're essentially giving you an idea or data that can help you go, I hadn't considered that word before. I'm going to give it a try. That's what it's about, is really considering new keyword ideas. And obviously there's that hidden or that other benefit, which I haven't listed here, which is really about just overall size and helping you get a sense of expectation about what you can get out of Etsy ads now that you have a tool that can help you show what's popular on Etsy, on Google Shopping compared to Etsy. All right, so I'm going to pause here for a second. Looks like a few more comments have come in. All right, what do we got here? Drum roll. Thanks, Debbie, for the drum roll there. Let's see. Moon Lovers. Oh, back on the other topic. What do you think a good click-through rate might be? I'll let other people join in that conversation there. I'd love to see at least 1% click-through rate. I don't know how realistic that is, and again, depends on the buyer's intent and their query and things like that. So there's going to be a lot of variables in there. So I'd love to see what people discover there. Yay, new announcement. Okay. Oh, Debbie, awesome sauce. Okay, that's great. Oh my God, awesome. Thank you, Moon Lovers Jewelry. That's very kind. Let's see. Jocelyn's got some comments about... all right, so she switched to promoted listings last week. Let's see, we're spending $8 a day and limit of an 8-cent bid per click. We're spending $2 to $3 a day. Since switching, I've only spent 30 to 40 cents per day on my $8 budget. Wow, that's surprising. Do you think it would be worth increasing the budget more or have any idea what's going on? So my understanding here, Jocelyn, is that Etsy will be using their machine learning or artificial intelligence to start measuring performance. So what it should be doing is looking at words that are attracting users into your shop, and it should also be looking at what words lead to your shop or your listings that then lead to a sale, and it should be adjusting bid prices automatically based on what it sees there. If it works like other machine learning models that I've worked with, then it should start to look for positive reinforcement. So if it sees sales, if it sees clicks, it should try to do more of that. And if it's the opposite, if it sees no clicks and no sales, it should either drop the CPCs or stop bidding or promoting that listing. Now that's my speculation, so please take that with a pinch of salt. Etsy haven't given us any guidance, really any details to work on here. My hope is that if it works like other machine learning, it will get smarter and better over time. They've hinted at that in their documentation. For now, I would not do too much based on just a couple of days worth of data. I'd leave it the same, let it try and run its course a little bit more, see if it does get smarter as it collects more data, more historical information about how people are engaging and buying your listings. I wouldn't be going in there every single day and adjusting the levers all the time, because that is really hard to accommodate. You're basically throwing in more variables that the algorithms are looking at. So I'd try and keep it reasonably low now before you start upping your bids or your daily budgets. All right. Let's see. All right, Gallery Gifts literally had their first sale over a week from promoted listings. All right, well, I'd be very curious to know how that works. We're all learning at the same rate here. We've only got a handful of days. I think some people still haven't switched over. So it's all about learning right now, isn't it? All right, so I'm going to switch back to the slide because I want to give you a quick demo of the new tools so that you can see what to expect in the new Keyword Explorer update. So let me get over to my browser. All right. So here's a typical screen dashboard. I'm going to pop into the Keyword Explorer and I'm going to poke in a few terms in here which I think will be really interesting. So let's pick on something that I think would be pretty popular in Google Shopping. So I'm going to type in iPhone and let's see what comes back there, because I want to share with you some of the differences between Etsy and Google Shopping. I forgot what they were called. Okay, so I'm going to quickly scroll down here and you'll see immediately, well, hopefully immediately, the new column in here, which is the Google Searches column. In there, you'll see that iPhone X case, 368,000 queries on average per month on Google Shopping. Holy smoke. Now, if you're selling personalized iPhone X cases, maybe that's a tremendous opportunity for you. So I would be thinking, this is worth a shot. As I scroll down, you'll see little gaps in here as well. So we don't have data for every single search term that's searched on Google Shopping, but we've got a damn lot. I mean, we're talking about millions of search terms. Now, if it's blank, it typically means we just don't have enough information to really give you an accurate forecast. May still be a good word. It may be good on Etsy, but that's what I wanted to share with you. So now you've got this opportunity to really compare. You got three opinions you can pick from here now. You've got your Etsy search volume, which is the estimated average monthly searches on Etsy for whatever phrase or keyword that's here. You've got your Google Shopping searches here, and you've also got your Google searches. Oh my God, I just realized a very embarrassing mistake. I was actually calling out Google searches instead of Google Shopping searches. So keep that in mind. I may have to find a way to distinguish it a little bit better so people don't get caught like I just did. But Google Shopping searches right here. Now, as I scroll down, like I said, you will see some gaps in here, and that's because we just don't have enough data to give you that, a reliable forecast at that point. So now let's pick on a different term here. So if you've got a keyword you'd like me to look up, feel free to type it into the chat window here, and I'll do a live lookup of that. Let's pick on another one. There's the what is it? Fire Emblem Three Houses. So this is a hot topic right now. It's super hot on Etsy. So let's have a look at what's going on Etsy, on Google Shopping, and in Google as well. So let's see what we've got here. Immediately you'll notice the graph. So at the moment we still only have Etsy and Google search volume in the search trends graph. We're going to be adding Google Shopping in here as well, because I think it would be great to have that third opinion in the graph here as well. So bear with me, it'll take a day or so to get that in there. But you'll see this sudden dramatic increase in July on Google. We're still waiting for the August data to come through from Google, but you can also see a similar big jump on Etsy as well. So it's really popped out of nowhere. Now, we don't have a lot of data at this stage, but you can see some keyword variations in here. You can see we've got some Google search data in here, Google Shopping data as well, and we've also got some Google search data as well. So that's an idea of something that's hot that's just popped up out of nowhere. So that's pretty neat. You know, we've got some good, interesting data in there. I'm not sure how much you can actually list just from a trademark or an IP perspective here for these phrases. So just be really careful there. But let's pick on another one. So I think we've got ceramic coffee mug. Let's check that one out from Gallery Gifts. Live demo. Let's see what we've got. Boom, boom, boom. Here we go. All right, so we've got a little bit of data in here. This is good. So that's the Etsy and Google search trends. Looks like it's hot in December and November on Google at least. It looks like we had a bit of a pop again around about Mother's Day. I wouldn't be surprised if this starts to pick up again shortly as well, especially if Etsy starts to mirror what happens on Google. But let's go and have a look at Google Shopping here. So I'm going to type in the filter here, ceramic coffee mug, just to weed out some of the other suggestions in there. So you can see not a lot's happening on Google Shopping for this term. And I think this is one of those things where you can see that Google Shopping is kind of a bit of a letdown here. There'll be other examples where Google Shopping is actually pretty damn good, and you'll be going, I hadn't thought of that phrase before. So let's see if we can find a few ideas based on that. So I'm going to remove that for a second, and now I'm going to sort the Google Shopping column from highest to lowest in here. So what have we got? Coffee mug, 1,000 searches a month on average. Not too bad. That's a nice little boost. Maybe there's an angle or an opportunity that you can get there, take advantage of there. But then you'll see, ceramic coffee mug with lid, ceramic coffee mugs. I think we talked about that. Large coffee mugs. These are fairly broad sort of concepts. Funny coffee mug doesn't seem to be getting searched a lot. If you see 10 in there, that usually tells me we don't have a lot of data in there. it may be a little bit higher than 10. It's probably worth experimenting with because we are seeing some search volume in there, just not a lot to give you a number or a higher number than that. So maybe worth considering. So I don't think that the whole ceramic coffee mug is going to be a great thing on Google Shopping, but who knows? People are searching there, and you may be able to intercept a few people there and attract buyers with that term. Let's see. Lona, did I miss something? What is the difference between Google Shopping searches and Google searches? Okay, great question. So let me explain that. Google Shopping searches are how many searches people are searching for on Google Shopping. I'll say that again. Google Shopping searches are how many searches people perform on Google Shopping. And it's basically the average over the last 12 months. Google searches, on the other hand, this is how many searches were performed on Google, the web search engine, on a monthly basis. So if you're curious about Etsy ads performance and how much is going to come from Google Shopping versus Etsy, then you want to look at the Google Shopping column here to get an idea of how popular those keywords are. Okay, I hope that helps there, Lona. All right, so that's the main thing I wanted to share with people. I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to give you that extra perspective now. You'll have this third opinion now, Etsy, Google, and Google Shopping. So you can get an idea of what's more popular and where it's more popular. All right, now I'm going to switch back again to the presentation. Here we go. And let me get the presentation up on my screen so I can see it too. So there was one slide I missed here. I just want to make sure I cover it. Nope, it's gone. So I did want to make sure that people know that this data doesn't come from Etsy. It doesn't come from Google. This is important. I want to be very transparent here. We've had to buy this data from a very trusted third-party company. I can't say who they are because there are non-disclosure agreements in place, but they are very reliable. They've been around for years. They've got a massive panel and some data scientists that are super smart and know how to smooth things out to make sure that you're not seeing any really crazy results in the data there. It should be exceptionally accurate. You can pop into Google Trends and get a sense of how it compares there. It's based on what Americans are searching for on Google Shopping. So if you're targeting people in Germany or Italy, we can't help you there, unfortunately. At this time, it's not an option for us, but it's based on American search behavior. So you'll get a pretty decent sense of what's going on Google Shopping there with that. If you live in other English markets or you target the UK, Australia, or Canada, it's still a very good guide. But obviously there'll be some local variations that we just don't capture for you. So if you're looking for boomerangs from Australia through to, I don't know, Tim Horton stuff in Canada or something cricket related in the UK or very specific to the UK, we're not going to be able to give you very great data for that at this time. But for a general English, I think it's going to be really, really good. If you target the US and and you're targeting American buyers, it's going to be fantastic for you. You've suddenly got this great exposure to this new data source for you. So, guys, I really hope you like it. By all means, pop in there, check it out. And apart from that, I'm done here. Other than if you've got any other questions, I'll check in the comments here and hang around for a little bit longer. And after that, I think we'll wrap up. So. Let's see. Rajiv has got a question here. Should we switch over to the new advertising from promoted listings or wait for Etsy to switch for us? Any advantages or disadvantages if we switch? So, it's Andrew. Okay, Andrew, it's it's really hard to say right now. Part of me is torn because my head's telling me the more data that Etsy has to fine-tune your listings, the better, and that part of my brain is saying switch now so that Etsy can learn all this stuff before the Christmas period starts. Another part of me is really careful and concerned and, that conservative part of the brain that's just saying, whoa, wait a minute, Anthony, let things settle and then make the switch. So I really can't tell you at this stage. And I don't think anyone can really give you some good guidance there because, there's only a handful of days worth of data that we're seeing out there. You've got the doomsayers out there, which are saying there's no more control. It's the end of Etsy. I'm going to switch to Amazon Handmade or something like that. They may be right. They may be wrong. I doubt it. I think Etsy have done their homework and they've done plenty of testing. So I think it will be good. But that's my opinion based on, a very, very small survey of a handful of people. So it's really up to you. Like I said, part of my brain says, give Etsy enough time to learn how people engage with your listings in the new ad platform, and give them enough time to take advantage of that pre-Christmas, those early shoppers, maximize that. Another part is just be conservative. So there you go. You've got no decision from me. I'll let you decide what you think's best. If you do switch and you're a little bit like me and you are conservative, just make sure you lower your daily budget to something that you're comfortable with, rather than having something ridiculous. I was chatting to someone the other day that had a daily budget of about $1,000, and they're only spending $30 or $40 a day, so they were like, whatever. But imagine, worst case scenario, suddenly $1,000 was being spent per day and you didn't know about it for a few days. Ooh, I'd be freaked out. So that's it. So like Pam said, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you can get some more great videos that we're working on. Click on the bell icon to make sure you get those notifications. And leave comments and questions below, and we look forward to hearing from you next time. So I'm going to sign off at this point. I hope everyone has a great day. Check out the tool. I hope it's useful for you, and we'll chat again soon. Okay, everyone. Bye for now.